So the greatest question revolving around this most previous roster mania was, what was Optic Texas going to be doing? We knew for a long time that it sounded like Dashy was going to be out of the starting lineup because of differences between Rambo and Shotzzy not really getting along with them. Questions about if Dashy had the right mindset and everything going on. A lot of talks went around. There was even talks about iLLeY kind of getting benched. Didn't seem like that was going to happen for a while there. And it just got confirmed that Optic Huke is going to be the new fourth. It's kind of the likely scenario once we saw he got dropped, but there was still some questions about some other people, which we'll talk about here soon. But it looks like that they found a group before that they really like and are going to go forward. And it seems like they're going to move iLLeY over to the main AR. Scump is going to move over to the flex, and then you're going to have the SMG duo of the old Dallas Empire of Shotzzy and Huke there. Also had Huke kind of, saying that he's excited to join, can't waste any time. Looks like they're all really excited to kind of be able to play together. And I think this is really going to help Huke out, having a team that, were they underperforming at the start of the year? Yes. But they're in a better roster spot than what his LAG roster was. There's talks about here for a little while, there's a couple rumors of Sib maybe trying to get over. Also, maybe not him wanting to come over, but Optic wanting to grab him for Dashy, a 1v1 or a 1-on-1 trade. That kind of died out really quick. The biggest thing here was talking about Pred to Optic, and it seemed more and more likely the last couple of days. Everyone thought that Pred was a sure thing to Optic. He just flew in to Texas, had a delay in his flight, and that's why Optic canceled their scrims yesterday. At least that is what everyone thought it was. Ended up, you can see here from the CDL intel, it says both teams are going back and forth over the last week, but Seattle Surge, from what CDL intel was told, declined what would have been the largest deal in Call of Duty history. Which is just crazy to even think about, right? Because Seattle Surge, yes, obviously you want to be able to compete this year, finish top 2, could be a championship roster here in the future, but at the same time, Pred could just walk in the offseason. He is a free agent. They don't have any, there's no 1+1 on him. He is just a complete free agent at the end of the year where he could walk. So I guess they're going to kind of prioritize getting a championship or two, maybe even a COD Champs ring here this season. And then if he walks in the offseason, say, well, we at least won a few events, and wish him all the best, obviously. Because there was also some talks of them, as soon as they thought Pred was a done deal, everyone was talking about Wardy maybe coming over to Seattle, which honestly I think would have still been a really good roster with Wardy on the team. Obviously it's no Pred, but I think Wardy is a phenomenal player in himself. I think kind of going back over to here, Optic haven't really said anything about the what's going to happen with Dashy. So is he just going to be, I'm assuming he's going to be on the bench for this major, probably grinding just some 8s, maybe a couple like GB tournaments. I'm not really sure. Haven't talked about releasing him or anything as of this time. Looks like they still haven't updated the header for their Optic Texas page, but regardless, sounds like he's going to be on the bench. Worst case scenario, I guess if Huke does not work out for you, I don't know if you would try Dashy back in, because Dashy is just, if you run it back, there's just going to be a lot of problems there between Rambo and Dashy and Shotzzy and Dashy, and you can kind of just chalk the season up at that point. So some people are asking, what's next for Dashy, since, you saw Formal say they're going to miss him, this and that. Is he going to be a free agent? I think they're going to probably keep him on the bench for this major, sell him after Major 2 for a team that wants him. So you kind of got to start looking into teams that would want him, right? Obviously, I don't think Atlanta FaZe, they won't want him. Seattle, they would have made a trade if that was the case, so they're out. Optic, it doesn't seem likely they're going to have him come back. So you gotta kind of start thinking about other teams. Like, I don't think Minnesota, they won't do it. Toronto won't do it. It's going to be some of those more bottom teams. Like, I don't know how happy the Mutineers are with Major Maniac and Brack as their duo. That's a good question mark. I don't know who would take them. My first thought was probably, maybe the Florida Mutineers wanted to get somebody that can kind of be a cornerstone for their future rosters. I also thought maybe that he could end up going to Las Vegas. I don't see that really happening, though. I think with their relatively successful Major 1, I don't think they're going to be making any changes. And I just don't really see any team currently wanting to pick him up. I think they're going to wait until Major 2 has come and gone. I know I've heard a couple people say Boston Breach might want him. That just kind of depends on how they feel about Methodz. I personally would rather have Methodz and Owakening over Dashy. Not from just a gunpoint perspective. Everyone knows Dashy is disgusting with the gunny. It just seems like there's always something around him. He doesn't win championships very often, and I think that's more on him more than, the rest of the team that he's with. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what they're going to do with him here in the future. Whether they just release him or, I don't really know what else you can really do. You can hold on to him for the season, just pay him to be on the bench. Or you can try selling him. I don't know what team would take him, though, if I'm being honest. So another thing everyone's been talking about, like, Huke is kind of more of a, not really a downgrade, I wouldn't say. But I think everyone's saying, he's been really inconsistent these last couple years. Is this the last team change that we see from this Optic roster? I honestly don't think this is going to be the last time we see roster moves. I think with it being Scump's last year, I think Hector is going to be trying to get any player he can to improve their chances of winning champs, or at least a championship to send Scump out on a high note. That's kind of it for right now. I don't think there's really any other news currently. Going back to the CDL Intel page here, it seems just like Optic were trying, all their chips were in one bag to get pred, and Seattle declined it, and so they just went with the next best option, which was Huke, and I do believe that would be their best current situation. They know what they can get out of him. The old Zeo or XEO, however you pronounce it, trio, they're back, so their chemistry is going to be good. It'll be interesting to see what Scump does now going over to the flex position. Assuming that's where he's going to go, I don't think Huke would go to a flex. I think he's a pretty aggressive sub. It'll be interesting to see how they do the rest of the season, and let me guys know what you think about that roster change. That's pretty much all I got for right now. There's not really any other news going around the league too much. This is kind of the big bomb in the scene that everyone was waiting for. Everyone was just, eyes were on the Optic Texas Twitter page and the CDL Intel, just waiting for if Optic Pred was going to happen. So yeah, that'll be it for this episode. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing, leaving a like, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.